makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. But in reacting to your letter, and some of the things that you said in it, the APC have suggested that you were not in Nigeria during the election and you did not vote, and therefore should not make categorical statements about an election you did not witness. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't think it's very useful criticism. I should say, first of all, that I've never been fazed by criticism. I mean, I wrote this, of course, knowing fully well that there would be criticism from certain quarters. And I've seen a few things people have sent to me, and it's kind of been amusing to read the juvenile fulminations of non-juvenile people. But that said, I actually did try very hard, and I should say,
on Arise News about reactions to the election results by the Labour Party's vice presidential candidate, Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed, comments which Professor Soyinka described as fascistic. I mean, do you see that as part of the demonization of Mr. Obi and his running mate, as some have suggested, or do you agree that Datti Baba Ahmed went, or rather overstepped the bounds, and Professor Soyinka was in that regard justified to call him to order? I mean, I know you hold, or at least you have held, Mr. Soyinka in high esteem.
I still do. I have a lot of love for Professor Soyinka. I admire him, I respect him as a thinker, as a writer. I think everyone should read The Man Died, and Ake, his memoir, is beautiful, right? But at the same time, I disagree very strongly with him about this particular issue. And actually, because I respect Professor Soyinka so much, I went back and watched the interview. I had watched it when it aired initially, but I went back and watched it because I thought, am I missing something? And I think fascist is a really strong word. You know, fascist actually often makes me think of Mussolini's Italy. But I think we use it now, you know, sort of to address this kind of authoritarianism that's often populist and right-wing, you know, like in Hungary and even the former American president. And when you look at those situations, you can see why they have been termed fascist. And I did not see any reason that Mr. Datti Baba Ahmed's interview would have been termed fascist. You know, I think he was making a very strongly felt point about the elections. What he was saying, which again I thought seemed fairly reasonable, is that if our democracy is rooted in our constitution, and you then swear in a person who's been elected unconstitutionally, then you are in fact ending democracy. I think it's quite a reasonable position. Of course, we can argue about what that bit, while at the same time endorsing something that is quite self-evidently undemocratic.
Well, that's a good point. But just delving deeper into your letter, you were quite categorical in saying that the electoral process was imperiled not by technical shortcomings, but by deliberate manipulation. Is there enough evidence in your assessment to support that claim?
Yes, and I think maybe the most glaring is that we Nigerians all saw these mutilated election sheets, right? We all saw them. We saw polling unit agents talking about how what they had from the polling unit was not what was then announced formally, officially, or uploaded formally, officially. And I think for me, that's a really striking reason and an example of how this election was not about technical glitches. And can we also realize that Nigeria is full of very bright young people in tech? There's no reason for that excuse of technical glitch. And the other question then is, if it was a technical glitch, why was it possible for most people to upload the results of the other federal elections, but not the presidential? And I think most of all is that there's just been this resounding, unfortunate silence from INEC and from the chair of INEC.
So, Ngozi Chimamanda Adichie or Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, was on Arise television today to defend her letter to President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, where she called Nigerian democracy a hollow democracy. So these are some of the powerful words that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie released. One, the Arise TV anchor asked her what she has got to say concerning the criticisms that she is receiving, on her letter to President Joe Biden of USA. She said that it's amusing to read juvenile fulmination of non-juvenile people. So APC thugs and mobs online. The first, the head of them is FFK, Femi Stomach Infrastructure Chief. So he's among the juvenile people. Onanoga, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's among the juvenile people that this great writer of Nigeria, Chimamanda Adichie, encapsulated in just a sentence. It's funny, it's amusing to read juvenile fulmination of non-juvenile people. She also schooled Wole Soyinka of who Fascist or Fascist is. She said APC charlatans and those who refuse to speak. She said Soyinka lacks restraint for use of words. INEC told us what to expect from the elections. The excuse of technical glitches is unconvincing, which is true, and the word fascist should rather be used for INEC. They told us everything is okay. How many billion naira was released to INEC to conduct free and fair election? And they told us that everything is okay, everything is intact. All of a sudden, we are having technical glitches. Professor Mahmoud should be arrested and prosecuted. He's a criminal. He's a criminal and a rogue. He should be arrested. And also, part of the powerful words she released on Arise TV today, she said Buhari wasted a spectacular opportunity to be the hero of Nigeria democracy. That is exactly how it is. Exactly how it is. She said it is important to preserve the truth and to tell the story of what happened. That election was unforgivably flawed, and there is evidence for that. I wanted to call out the US for what I considered as its two-facedness when it comes to Africa. So US should not congratulate Tinubu because he is not the president-elect. He was imposed on us by INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud. These are some of the powerful words she also released today. She said, you cannot criticize African countries for being undemocratic, while at the same time endorsing something that is quite self-evidently undemocratic. That's what, in her defense to the letter she wrote to Joe Biden, she said that America cannot criticize African countries for being undemocratic, and at the same time they are endorsing a president-elect who the entire nation, Nigerians, know that he is on a stolen mandate. That seat is not meant for him. Well, we're waiting for 29th of May to see how he's going to be sworn in. She said swearing in a person who has not met the requirements of the Constitution is like ending democracy. It's like really ending democracy. These are powerful words, from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, writer of the word Odeluwa, one of Aba in Anambra State.